The apartment drowns in darkness, save for the pale glow of a seahorse nightlight casting wavering patterns across bedroom walls. Naima Reeves kneels beside her daughter's bed, palm pressed over the child's mouth, firm but tender, her other arm wrapped like armor around the small trembling body. Zora's eyes, wide and almond-shaped, the color of honey in sunlight, stare up at her mother with a fear too ancient for her 6 years. Those eyes, every time Naima looks into them, she sees his face staring back. Beyond the bedroom door, footsteps thunder through the hallway. Heavy boots. Multiple men. Naima's phone vibrates against the hardwood, the buzzing obscenely loud in the silence. A message from a blocked number illuminates the screen. "We found the child." Midnight deadline. Zora whimpers and Naima feels something inside her chest crack apart. Her latest investigation, the one exposing an international adoption fraud ring with ties to organized crime, had painted a target on both their backs. The footsteps halt outside their apartment. She has maybe 60 seconds before that door comes crashing down. 60 seconds to make the one choice she swore she'd carry to her grave. Her thumb hovers over a contact she hasn't touched in 6 years, labeled only with initials. JK. The door frame groans under pressure. She presses call. Across the Pacific Ocean, in a glass tower office overlooking Seoul's electric skyline, that call begins to ring. "Hello family. Where are you watching from? Kindly drop it in the comments so I can send special appreciation to you. And most importantly, hit the subscribe button to subscribe to this channel." Now let's go deep into the story. 3 days before this moment, Naima's home office resembles organized chaos. Red yarn connects printed photographs to newspaper clippings, maps marked with locations, names circled in permanent marker. Buried somewhere in this maze is the story that will dismantle a billion-dollar criminal enterprise. "Mama, you got that look again." Zora stands in the doorway clutching a stuffed giraffe, 6 years old but already reading her mother like scripture. Naima minimizes the browser window and extends her arms. Zora runs into them without hesitation. "Is this the big story?" Zora asks, settling into her mother's lap. "The biggest. I'm helping families who got hurt. Can I ask about him today?" The question arrives like it always does, unexpected and sharp as broken glass. "What do you want to know, baby girl? Does he know I exist?" Naima closes her eyes. "No, sweetheart. He doesn't know." "How come? How does she explain that the man she loved 6 years ago was brilliant and dangerous in equal measure? That he moved through the world like smoke, beautiful and impossible to hold? That she ran the moment she discovered she was pregnant, terrified of the life he represented? Sometimes adults make impossible choices to keep the people they love safe," Naima says carefully. That night, her encrypted phone buzzes with a message from her inside source. "They're asking questions about you." Disappear. Then her secondary phone rings. Number blocked. A voice distorted beyond recognition speaks. Naima Reeves. Journalist. 29 years old. Daughter Zora. 6 years old. Residence 2847, Peachtree Avenue, Apartment 4B. They know everything. In Seoul, South Korea, Jang Kiyoon stands at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse command center, watching rain blur the city lights into watercolor streaks. At 34, he controls more of Seoul's shadow economy than most government officials could fathom. Beneath the legitimate corporations and charitable foundations lies an empire built on information, leverage, and the willingness to do what others won't. His assistant, Hwang Minji, enters without knocking. "Sir, we've logged 17 international calls to your private line in the past 6 hours. All originating from Atlanta, Georgia." Atlanta. 6 years ago, he met a woman there during a business acquisition. A fearless black journalist named Naima who looked at him like he was human, not a weapon. Then one night she witnessed something she shouldn't have, saw the masks fall away, and by sunrise she had vanished. "Block them," he says flatly. His phone rings immediately. Private line. Atlanta prefix. He answers against his better judgment. Her voice fractures through the speaker, breathless and terrified. I know I have no right, but we need. A crash explodes in the background. A child screams. Please. She has your eyes and they're coming to kill us both. The line goes dead. Kiyoon stands frozen, his reflection ghostly in the rain-streaked glass. She has your eyes. A child. His child. Minji, I need a location on that call. Immediately. And mobilize our Atlanta assets. Every single one. Sir, someone just took your daughter. Hello, family. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments so I can send appreciation your way. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a story. Now let's dive deeper into this tale. Kiyoon's hands shake as he grips the edge of his desk. In 15 years of operating in the underworld, of building an empire from ash and ambition, his hands have never betrayed him. Not during his first kill in a rain-soaked warehouse. Not when he seized control of the organization by eliminating everyone who opposed him. Not even when bullets carved the air inches from his skull, leaving craters in concrete where his head had been seconds before. But now they tremble. 6 years of silence, shattered in 17 seconds. Naima's voice had come through that phone, older, sharper, wrapped in static and absolute terror. Then the words that detonated everything he thought he understood about his life. She has your eyes. Kiyoon stares out at Seoul glowing beneath him like a living circuit board. Neon veins and steel bones. A city that bends to his will. A city suddenly impossibly distant. Location confirmed, Sir, Minji says, fingers flying across her tablet. 2847, Peachtree Avenue, Apartment 4B, Atlanta, Georgia. Call duration. 17 seconds before disconnection. Atlanta. His jaw clenches. Get Park Siwon on the phone. Now. His voice remains calm, controlled, but inside his thoughts are burning. 6 years ago, Naima Reeves walked into his world like a question he wasn't prepared to answer. She'd been investigating corporate fraud, moving through Atlanta's elite circles with a journalist's careful smile and a hunter's instincts. They collided at a fundraising gala. Him in an Italian suit wearing his civilized mask. Her with champagne and eyes that missed absolutely nothing. You don't belong here any more than I do, she'd said, amused. He should have turned and walked away. Instead he stayed. For 3 months they circled each other like planets in unstable orbit. She challenged his assumptions, mocked his carefully constructed distance, made him laugh when he'd forgotten the sound of it, looked at him like he could be something more than what violence had made him. He almost confessed everything. Then she followed him one night. Saw the guns. Heard the coded conversations. Watched how grown men deferred to him with fear disguised as respect. By morning she was gone. No explanation, no goodbye, just brutal silence. He told himself it was mercy, that his world would have consumed her completely. He never imagined she'd left carrying more than heartbreak. Sir, Park is on the line. Kiyoon seizes the phone. Park, I need an extraction team at that address immediately. Hostile actors are present. 2 targets. Naima Reeves and a 6-year-old child. They are to be recovered unharmed and airborne to Seoul within 90 minutes. Pause, then carefully, sir, that timeline is, I don't care. His voice turns to ice. Use every resource we have. Purchase aircraft if necessary. Burn every favor we've collected. Those 2 are now our absolute highest priority. Silence stretches. Understood, Park says finally. We're moving. Kiyoon ends the call and turns back to the screens as Minji pulls satellite imagery, building schematics, police radio frequencies. No other registered occupants besides Naima Reeves, she reports. No internal cameras. Police scanner indicates gunfire reported at the location. Kiyoon's blood turns cold. Before he can respond, his private line rings again. Atlanta prefix. He answers instantly. Naima's voice, running now, winded. A child crying in the background. We got out the fire escape. I don't know if your people are coming, but we're moving. Maybe an hour before they find us again. Where are you? She hesitates. Even now, even terrified, she's calculating. Somewhere public. Naima, listen to me carefully. I can protect you both, but you have to trust me. Her laugh is sharp and broken. Trust you. I saw who you really are. The only reason I'm calling is because the people hunting us are somehow worse. The words cut deeper than any blade. You're right, he says quietly. I'm not a good man. But I protect what belongs to me. And whether you accept it or not, you and our daughter belong to me. Silence. Then softly, her name is Zora. She's 6 years old. She asks about you every single day. His chest constricts painfully. A small voice drifts through the connection, distant but clear. Mama, who is that? His heart stops completely. Tell her, he says. Please. Naima exhales shakily. Zora, baby, it's your father. My daddy? Wonder pure and fragile as spun glass. For real? Kiyoon closes his eyes. Hello, Zora. I'm your father. Do you really got eyes like mine? He swallows against the pressure building in his throat. Exactly like yours, sweetheart. I'm gonna wait for you, Daddy, she says with absolute conviction. When the call disconnects, Kiyoon stands motionless. For the first time in his entire life, he isn't thinking like someone who built an empire from blood and shadows. He's thinking like a father. And he will reduce the world to ash to bring his daughter home. The apartment smells like vanilla candles and rising panic. Naima Reeves has always kept Zora's room peaceful, soft pastels, gentle lighting, a sanctuary where nightmares were supposed to stay imaginary. Tonight, that illusion is shattering. The seahorse nightlight casts dancing shadows across the walls as Naima crouches beside the bed, one arm locked around Zora's small frame, her other hand covering her daughter's mouth. Not roughly, never roughly, but firmly enough to silence the terrified sound threatening to escape. Zora's eyes are enormous, honey-colored and too bright in the darkness, too familiar. Naima presses her forehead against Zora's curls, breathing slowly, deliberately, counting seconds the way she learned, covering civil unrest and conflict zones. Panic consumes oxygen. Control keeps you breathing. Outside the bedroom door, footsteps move through the apartment with terrible purpose. Heavy boots, unhurried, methodical. Men who understand they have time on their side. The first impact hits the front door hard enough to rattle picture frames on the walls. Zora flinches, a sharp inhale through her nose. It's okay, Naima mouths silently, lips brushing Zora's ear. Mama's got you. But even as the words form, Naima knows the truth with crystalline clarity. She's out of time. Her phone vibrates against the floor beside the bed, the buzzing obscenely loud. Naima glances down and feels her stomach plummet. Blocked number. Message displayed. We know about the child. You have 24 hours. A lie. They're already inside. Another crash. With splintering under force. Someone curses, low and vicious. The lock surrenders. Naima's mind accelerates, sharp and focused in ways terror can't touch. She knew this day would arrive the moment her investigation crossed international borders. Human trafficking isn't just crime. It's infrastructure, profit, protection at the highest levels, and she'd ripped away a layer they'd murdered to keep hidden. She'd prepared for numerous outcomes, just not this specific one. She looks down at Zora, memorizing her face in a way that makes her chest physically ache. 6 years old, too brave, too intelligent, too much like the man Naima fled from. A man who existed in shadows. A man she swore would never discover them. Her phone buzzes again. This time an incoming call attempts to connect. Number blocked. Footsteps halt directly outside the bedroom door. Naima has perhaps 60 seconds remaining. Her gaze falls to her contact list, thumb hovering over a name she hasn't touched in 6 years. J.K. Jang Kiyoon. The man with piercing eyes and devastating instincts. The man whose gaze could shift from tender to lethal depending on what the world demanded. The man whose reflection stares back at her every single time she looks into Zora's face. She swore she would never make this call. But motherhood rewrites every promise. The doorframe groans under increasing pressure. Naima presses call. Across the ocean it rings. The bedroom door explodes inward just as the line connects. Kiyoon, Naima gasps, already moving. She grabs Zora and runs, bare feet slapping against hardwood as voices erupt behind them. I need help. We need something shatters against the wall inches from her skull. Zora screams. Please, Naima says into the phone, heart hammering against her ribs. She has your eyes and they're going to kill us both. The call drops. Mama, Zora cries as Naima shoves open the fire escape window and pulls her onto the narrow metal platform outside. Cold air slaps them, sharp and brutally real. Sirens wail somewhere in the distance, too distant to matter. Naima descends fast, one hand gripping Zora, the other clutching her phone like a lifeline already severed. They hit the alley pavement hard. Naima doesn't stop running. Behind them, someone leans from the broken window and speaks rapidly into a radio. They're mobile. East Alley. Naima ducks into traffic, horns blaring, adrenaline drowning everything else. Zora clings to her neck, sobbing now, the stuffed giraffe abandoned somewhere in the chaos upstairs. I'm sorry, Naima whispers repeatedly. I'm so sorry, baby girl. They don't stop until lights and noise swallow them completely. The bus terminal glowing like a promise of temporary safety. Cameras, witnesses, people everywhere. Protection for the moment. Naima collapses onto a metal bench, Zora trembling in her lap, still crying. Mama, Zora whispers, voice cracking. Are the bad men gone? For now, Naima says, brushing tears from her daughter's cheeks with shaking fingers. You were so brave. I'm so proud of you. Zora sniffles, wiping her nose. Did you call my daddy? Naima's chest tightens painfully. Yes, she admits softly. I did. Is he coming? Naima doesn't know the answer. But somewhere across the world, a man who ruled empires from shadows had just learned he possessed something brighter than power worth protecting. And the people who'd come for Zora have absolutely no comprehension of what they've awakened. Jang Kiyoon has commanded violence from boardrooms and back alleys, but never like this. Security feeds flicker across the wall of his penthouse command center, grainy traffic cameras, police scanner frequencies, satellite overlays stitched together by Minji's rapid keywork. Atlanta pulses on the screens, a living map of pursuit and chaos. They've reached the central bus terminal, Minji reports. Multiple camera angles. Civilian density is extremely high. Good, Kiyoon replies. They won't risk open confrontation. Even as he speaks the words, he knows better. Traffickers don't fear witnesses. They fear exposure, accountability, consequences. Park Siwon's voice cuts through the encrypted channel. We're 90 seconds out. Black SUV convoy. I have visual confirmation on Reeves and the child. Kiyoon leans closer to the monitors. Then he sees her. Zora sits on a metal bench, feet dangling, clutching her mother's jacket with small shaking hands. Her hair is pulled into two puff ponytails, ribbons bright against the harsh terminal lighting. She's crying silently now, trying desperately to be brave. And her eyes. Kiyoon inhales sharply. Honey-colored, exact, unmistakable. For a fraction of a second, the empire he constructed, every calculated decision, every body buried, every rule written in blood, collapses into complete irrelevance. That's her, he says, voice rough with emotion he hasn't felt in years. That's my daughter. A man steps into frame behind them, too close, hands concealed in pockets, watching. Contact, Park says calmly. Possible hostile. The man speaks into an earpiece, nodding. Then everything detonates. A second man rushes from the terminal entrance. Someone shouts a warning. Naima grabs Zora and runs. Move, 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 Park orders his team. Gunfire cracks through the night, sharp and deafening. Civilians scatter, screaming. Kiyoon's heart slams against his ribs as Park's team surges forward, forming a protective barrier around Naima and Zora. One of the traffickers goes down hard, blood spreading across concrete. Zora screams. Kiyoon can't hear her voice through the feed, but he can see her mouth open in terror, and something inside him breaks. Get her out, Kiyoon barks. Now. Park shoves Naima and Zora into the SUV as bullets shatter glass behind them. The door slams. Tires scream against pavement. The feed cuts to black. Silence consumes the penthouse. For the first time in 15 years, Kiyoon experiences fear with no outlet, no target, no solution. Aircraft is prepared, Minji says quietly. Private airfield. Wheels up in 18 minutes. Kiyoon closes his eyes. Hold on, little one. I'm coming for you. The private jet is quiet in ways that feel surreal. Naima sits rigid in the leather seat. Zora asleep against her chest, finally surrendering to exhaustion after terror drained everything from her small body. A blanket covers them both, but Naima barely registers it. Across the narrow aisle, Kiyoon watches. This is the first time he's seen her without distance, without screams or static or imminent danger between them. Zora, his daughter. Her lashes rest softly against her cheeks. Her small hands curled around the stuffed giraffe Park's team recovered from the apartment before extraction. Her breathing is steady even. She trusts this space, this moment. Trusts him. Kiyoon feels something inside his chest fracture. I should hate you, Naima says quietly, not looking at him directly. I know, he replies simply. You're everything I ran from 6 years ago. And yet, he says, voice low, you called me. Naima turns then, eyes sharp despite her exhaustion. Because the people trying to kill us are monsters, and monsters understand other monsters. Kiyoon doesn't flinch from the assessment. That's fair. Silence stretches between them, heavy with years and regret and unspoken truths. She has your focus, Naima continues. Your intensity. But she's kind, Kiyoon. Don't destroy that in her. I won't, he says with absolute conviction. I swear it. Zora stirs, eyes blinking open slowly. Honey meets honey across the narrow space. Daddy, she whispers. Kiyoon's throat closes. I'm here, sweetheart. She studies his face seriously, taking her time, then smiles. You look strong. He laughs softly, unexpected tears burning his eyes. For you I will be. The jet banks eastward toward Korea, leaving Atlanta behind. And somewhere in the shadows of Kiyoon's empire, cracks begin to form. The safe house sits deep in mountain forests, hidden by pine and perpetual fog. It's quiet here, unnaturally so. Naima watches Zora run across the polished wooden floor, laughing for the first time since Atlanta, the sound like medicine. Kiyoon stands nearby, uncertain whether to step closer or maintain distance, learning the boundaries of fatherhood in real time. This place is beautiful, Naima admits reluctantly. It's neutral territory, he says. No ghosts here. She turns to face him directly. That's a lie. Men like you carry ghosts everywhere you go. Before he can respond, Minji enters, face tight with tension. Sir, we've traced the Atlanta attackers successfully. And they weren't independent contractors. Kiyoon stiffens. They were using our established logistics routes, Minji continues carefully. Someone inside the organization authorized their movements, provided intelligence. Naima freezes. You mean, she says slowly, this came from inside your operation? Kiyoon's jaw tightens visibly. No. But someone close enough to access his infrastructure. Someone trusted. Zora runs up then, grabbing Kiyoon's hand without hesitation. Daddy, will you stay with us? He looks down at her, at the choice crystallizing around him with terrible clarity. Yes, he says finally. I'm not going anywhere. And in that moment, Kiyoon understands the truth completely. To protect his daughter, to become the father she deserves, his empire will have to burn. Kiyoon stands alone in the underground command room beneath the mountain safe house, walls alive with data streams and encrypted communications. The room smells faintly of metal and ozone, a familiar comfort from years of decisions made in similar spaces. This is where people disappeared, where empires shifted. But tonight, the threat isn't external. It's cancerous, growing from within. Confirm it again, Kiyoon says, voice steady. Minji swallows visibly. The Atlanta operation was greenlit using level 7 clearance. Only 4 individuals possessed that access level. Kiyoon already knows. His second in command, Choi Dae-hoon. Dae-hoon has been with him since the beginning, since the brutal early days when the organization was nothing but ambition and violence. Brilliant, ruthless, loyal, or so Kiyoon believed without question. Together they'd constructed something vast and nearly untouchable. Dae-hoon controlled logistics, international routes, deniable operations, human trafficking routes. Kiyoon's hands curl into fists. I never authorized trafficking, Kiyoon says quietly, but the words taste like ash. No, Minji replies carefully. But you authorized expansion without oversight. Daehoon exploited the gaps. A screen shifts displaying photos. Shipping containers, coded financial ledgers, payments laundered through shell corporations Kiyoon owns but rarely examines anymore. At the center of it all, children's faces. Dozens of them. Kiyoon feels something cold and furious settle deep in his chest. So this is why Naima was targeted, he says flatly. She pulled a thread leading directly to him. And to you, Minji says carefully. If this goes public, your name burns alongside his. Footsteps echo behind them, measured and calm. Kiyoon turns slowly. Daehoon stands in the doorway, immaculate as always, hands clasped behind his back, tall, composed, smiling faintly. You should have informed me you brought them here, Daehoon says mildly. Creates complications. Kiyoon meets his gaze without blinking. You're trafficking children through my network. Daehoon sighs as if discussing tedious business details. I'm monetizing inefficiencies you chose to ignore. We outgrew idealism years ago, Kiyoon. You crossed a line. There are no lines, Daehoon replies evenly. Only leverage. And now you've handed me the ultimate leverage imaginable. Silence expands between them like a living thing. You won't touch them, Kiyoon says, voice dropping to something dangerous. Daehoon's smile fades completely. You already know that's not accurate. Naima senses something wrong before anyone speaks a word. She's learned to read danger the way others read weather. Subtle atmospheric shifts, pressure changes, instincts whispering warnings. The safe house feels compressed, watchful. Maya sits on the floor beside Kiyoon, drawing with colored pencils. A house, 3 stick figures holding hands, a sun in the corner. Naima's chest tightens. This can't last, she says softly. Kiyoon doesn't answer immediately. He watches Zora color carefully, her tongue poking out in concentration. You were right about me, he says finally. My world poisons everything it touches eventually. Naima crosses her arms. Then burn it down. He looks up sharply, surprised. You don't understand what that means. The cost. I do, she says firmly. I've spent my entire career exposing men like you. I just never expected to love one of them. The word love hangs between them. Dangerous and undeniable. They'll come for her again, Naima continues. Your second made that perfectly clear. Yes, Kiyoon says quietly. And if I don't surrender power, he'll eliminate all 3 of us. Zora looks up from her drawing. Daddy, are you sad? He kneels beside her without hesitation. A little bit, sweetheart. She smiles and touches his cheek gently. That's okay. Mama says brave people feel sad too. They just don't let it stop them. Something inside Kiyoon shatters and rebuilds simultaneously. That night, he makes his decision with absolute clarity. He summons every loyal asset, activates every debt collected over 15 years, unearths every buried secret, not to defend his throne, but to destroy it completely. Naima watches news feeds as Kiyoon moves like a ghost through his own demolition. Shell companies exposed systematically. Accounts frozen across multiple jurisdictions. Names leaked carefully, strategically to authorities in 7 countries. The trafficking network unravels first. Arrests happening simultaneously across 3 continents. International warrants follow. Daehoon panics. That becomes his fatal mistake. Gunfire echoes through the lower levels of the safe house as Daehoon's remaining loyal men make their desperate move. Kiyoon meets them head-on, not as an emperor defending territory, but as a father protecting his child. Naima grabs Zora and runs, following the escape route Kiyoon showed her. Stay with me, baby, she whispers, moving fast. Behind them, the mountain trembles with violence and endings. Kiyoon corners Daehoon in the command room. Smoke thick in the air, alarms screaming. You could have ruled forever, Daehoon spits, bleeding from a shoulder wound. You chose one child over an empire. Kiyoon's voice is absolutely steady. No, I chose to become human again. The single shot echoes through the mountain. By dawn, the world knows Jang Kiyoon's name in full, and the trafficking network is dismantled. The world doesn't end when empires fall. That surprises Kiyoon most of all. He stands at the edge of the mountain property just after sunrise, air sharp with pine and cold earth. Below him, fog drifts through the valley like breath, leaving a body at peace. For the first time in years, there are no phones demanding his attention. No updates requiring blood or strategy. Only silence, clean and absolute. Behind him, a door creaks softly. "Daddy." He turns. Zora walks toward him in oversized socks, hair still tangled from sleep, her stuffed giraffe tucked under one arm. Morning light catches her eyes, those impossible honey-colored mirrors, and something warm and painful blooms in his chest. "Did I wake you?" he asks gently. She shakes her head. "Mama said you were out here thinking big thoughts." He smiles. "She knows me too well already." Zora steps closer, pressing against his leg the way she's begun doing naturally, without fear or calculation. Kiyoon rests his hand gently on her head, still marveling at the simplicity of trust. "Are the bad people gone forever?" she asks seriously. "Yes," he says honestly. "They can't hurt anyone anymore." She considers this, then nods satisfied. "Good. Mama says you stopped them for real." "I had help from brave people," he says. As if summoned, Naima appears in the doorway wrapped in a jacket, her expression cautious but softer now. The past week has aged her in ways exhaustion always does, but there's relief in her eyes too. Relief and something like hope, still fragile but growing. The fallout has been brutal and swift. Authorities in 4 countries moved aggressively once evidence went public. Accounts frozen, routes seized, names dragged into unforgiving daylight. Kiyoon's former associates scrambled to save themselves, turning on one another with predictable speed. He anticipated that. What he didn't anticipate was how little he misses any of it. "You don't have to stay here permanently," Naima says quietly, joining them at the edge. "The legal team says if you cooperate fully, testify completely, you can walk away clean enough." Kiyoon looks out over the valley, breathing deeply. "And if I do walk away, then we disappear," she says. "Completely. For good." He nods slowly. "That choice crystallized days ago. I spent my life building something powerful," he says. "I thought control meant safety, that power meant protection. I was wrong about everything." Naima watches him carefully, reading truth in his posture. "And now what do you build?" "Now I build something smaller," he replies. "Something honest. Something that matters." Zora tugs his hand. "Can we have breakfast now? I'm really hungry." Kiyoon laughs, an unguarded sound that surprises all 3 of them. "Yes, I think we've definitely earned breakfast." They eat together at the wooden table inside, sunlight spilling across the floor in golden rectangles. Zora chatters happily about the bird she spotted earlier and the picture she wants to draw next. Maybe one with all of them together. Naima listens, occasionally reaching out to brush Zora's hair back. Her movements easy now, domestic, normal. After breakfast, Naima closes her laptop for the first time in months and doesn't reopen it. "I'm done chasing stories that bleed," she says. "At least for a long while." Kiyoon studies her. "You could still expose corruption. Just differently. The right way." She smiles faintly. "With you on the legal side this time, providing testimony instead of running from it." "Exactly," he says. Later that afternoon, Kiyoon makes his final call as the person he used to be. Not to an ally, not to an enemy. To a prosecutor whose number he memorized long ago but never intended to use. "I'm ready to testify fully," he says simply. "About everything." When the call ends, something inside him settles into place. That evening, as the sky transforms to gold and amber, Zora curls up between them on the couch, her head resting on Kiyoon's shoulder, completely trusting. Naima watches them quietly, emotion tightening her throat. "You know," she says softly, "she waited for you her entire life. Even when she didn't know your name." Kiyoon swallows against the pressure. "I won't waste that gift." He looks down at Zora, already drifting toward sleep, her fingers curled into his shirt like an anchor. "I don't deserve her," he says quietly. "No," Naima agrees without hesitation. "But you chose her. You chose us. That's what matters now." Outside, the world continues turning. Courts will argue cases. Headlines will fade into archives. The name Jang Kiyoon will become a footnote, a cautionary tale, an underworld emperor who dismantled his own kingdom. But inside the quiet sanctuary of the mountain-safe house, something new takes root and grows. Not power, not fear, not empire, family. And for the first time in his entire life, Kiyoon understands the truth that always eluded him in the shadows. Real strength isn't built in darkness. It's built in morning light, in small hands held tightly, in impossible choices made for love, and in the courage to become something better than what violence made you. The end. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more compelling tales.